Hi, this is Jay Rosenzweig, the founder and CEO of BirthParentFinder.com. I have with me today Nancy, who was a client of ours, whose birth family we found, and she had been reunited with her half sister on her maternal side. Hi, Nancy. How are you?
Hi, Jay. How are you?
I'm wonderful. First, I want to get started by asking you what made you decide to search for your birth family at this time of your life?
Well, I've been searching for a long time, the last 40 years, Jay, and it stirred up some emotions just hearing about you on KTLA and the success that you've had. I wasn't able to make any progress on my own with the DNA services that are out there.
So you came to us, obviously, through the KTLA stories, and we took on your case, and I found the maternal side of your family fairly quick. Um, with my data, I was able to find that the person that was listed as your birth father on your birth record was actually not your birth father. Is that correct?
Yes.
And his name wasn't very common, and your birth mother's last name we had found out also. So solving your case on the maternal side wasn't that difficult because we looked up any other children that they had, and we found your half sister Suzanne, and that's how we connected you to Suzanne. And we'll get her on in the next couple of days and talk to her. But she was just so happy and taken back pretty much that you were out there, and she didn't know about you. Is that correct?
Right. There had been some mention before her dad passed that there was something going on.
And do you know why your birth mother put down I guess it was her husband's name as the father, not the actual birth father?
I don't. You'd have thought they'd have kept me at that point, but they didn't. So that's an oddity.
And when I reached out to you and told you that I found your maternal family, what did you think?
You did it in such expedient way that I was overwhelmed. I thought it was wonderful.
Did you have any doubts that we had found the right family?
Well, because I've been doubting this for 40 years, it's stunning. It was absolutely stunning.
And did your sister Suzanne have any doubts that you were or were not her sister?
Once she saw me, I think we grasped the situation.
And you shared a photograph of you and her reuniting recently, and you look very much alike.
Yes,
And I have a photo of your birth mother, and you also look like her too.
yes,
And you have another half sister, is that correct?
I do.
And you haven't met her yet?
No, I have not.
And you plan on that?
I would like the opportunity, yes.
And do you know how her reaction was?
No, no, no news on the other sister.
Okay. And then your birth mother obviously passed away several years ago.
Yes, she died young.
Nah, that's very sad. And you got the answers you needed regarding the medical history, I would imagine.
Yes.
So, what was it like meeting Suzanne?
What an exceptional gal that I'm honored to be related to such a gal. Accomplished and sincere, kind, and empathic, and just a light, a beacon of light.
And you don't live that far from each other, do you?
No, no. Then the information you brought us is that some of the paternal side is close by as well, all in California.
And we'll get to the paternal side in a minute, but do you plan on seeing Suzanne anytime soon again?
Absolutely. As soon as possible. She's gone back to school, so she's a busy girl. And it's a bit of a journey, but not too far. We have a lot of the same interests, the outdoors and bicycling and adventure. So I look forward to sharing more time with her.
That's wonderful. Now, as far as the paternal side, we found out through our genealogy department, we found out who your birth father was, and he passed away in 2002, and we're 100% sure that's the guy. I'll tell you why. Not only does the DNA show that he's your birth father, you have a half brother that was also listed on your DNA named Matthew.
Yes.
And you saw that, but you weren't sure what relation he was, nor did he ever. Did he even get back to you on DNA?
No, it was his daughter that had submitted his DNA information, and she contacted me and she says, "It looks like you're a 100% match." And she forwarded that information to her dad, but he chose not to correspond.
So, since both of you were born in California, that helps me because I have access to information that the public doesn't have access to. So, when I looked up Matthew's birth record, his original birth record before he was adopted, it showed that his last name, the paternal last name, was the same last name as the gentleman we found as your birth father. I don't know if I told you that, but
You didn't.
pardon me?
You didn't.
Okay, so again, that's 100% confirmation that this man is your half brother on the paternal side. And I actually called him, got a hold of him. He lives in Georgia. And he's like you said, he's really not that much interested in this more than his daughter is. So he did this for her. And when I told him the story, he couldn't believe it. He believes it now, but he just couldn't believe this happened and that he didn't have to go through a company because you're the one who hired me. And it's like killing two birds with one stone. So he actually didn't quite believe it at first because he thinks there's so many scams out there, but then he realized this isn't a scam. All you have to do is check out my company. I haven't heard back from him, but he knows this is real. He knows that you are his half sibling on the paternal side. And the other thing is, I reached out to his other half sister, who is the daughter of your birth father, who also took a DNA test. And she has not reached back to me. And we just don't know why. We reached out to her, her son, and a couple other members of her family. They have not reached back. Maybe they just didn't understand that this was real, but it's all very real that you all share the same birth father and you were born in 1960. All her and her siblings were born prior to that. I don't know the relationship he had with his wife then, if they were married, if they were divorced. We don't know that until the paternal side gets back to me. We'd love to talk to them. But putting that aside, everything that we've told you, how does this make you feel?
I'm thrilled, Jay. I appreciate your service. You've been friendly and informational with quick results that amaze me, absolutely amaze me. But being an adoptee, I can recognize that it's not so much important to surround yourself with a stranger, even if they are blood, because we get a choice then to choose our family. I can understand the other siblings not reaching out because it's just superficial, perhaps, to them. I mean, people have very full lives, and maybe they're not as curious as I have been. Knowing the health records or health issues of my birth parents is an interesting fact. And Jay, I tell you, looking into the eyes of my half sister was fantastic. Very warming, and I'm grateful for your help. Thank you.
You're welcome. And she did not know really that you were out there and made no effort to even search for you, did she?
Don't know. She could have taken it as hearsay from her folks, but there had been mention, but it's no something that her mom didn't want her family to know about. Um, because I was conceived on a vacation to California, and then the mother had stayed here until I was born, and then married and continued to live in California.
And you had a wonderful life with your parents. Is that correct?
Well, that's another story, Jay. And they started out great. They had adopted a sister before me. And after they adopted me, we moved back to Chicago. And they separated in 1962.
So they separated 2 years after you were born then.
Yes. So my mom raised us. She did a fine job and never remarried. So mostly mom and I grew up alone, and my sister took a different road. And I was happy to take care of my mom. She'd taken good care of me.
So did your mom know at any point you were searching for your biological family?
She did. She gave me the lawyer's letter from 1960. And of course, the lawyer no longer existed, and there was no tracing the family through that office anymore. She came up with a couple of names that were close to my birth mother's maiden name, and still I hadn't any success in locating any kin.
So let me ask you this: if you never saw that series Off the Clock on KTLA and saw my segment, would you have ever have contacted me?
No, that was the turning point, and that it seemed so successful how you'd found Chris's folks, and I thought I'd give it a try.
Well, I'm glad you did, and I'm glad it worked out for you. I'm glad the paternal side worked out for you, and whether the paternal side is cooperative, that's another story. And I don't think at this point does it really matter to you.
No, I think even finding the maternal side is a great asset to my life, and it gives me a little comfort to know that I can be of help as a friend, a sister, maybe an organ donor, and that we're all connected. We're all connected, but this is a little more closely connected than I'd ever imagined.
Wonderful. And on that note, we will hopefully see you in a couple of days when we talk to your sister Suzanne.
Thank you, Jay.
You're welcome. Thank you.